Hi friends, how are you today? Welcome back, and for those of you that are new, hi and welcome. My name is Lisbeth, and welcome to Books and Makeup, where I do my makeup while I talk about a book or a book series that I really enjoy. And I try to do my makeup like either I think a character would do based on, or how a character would do their makeup if they live like today, or like based on the theme of the book. And these are just my interpretations of how I think it would go. So, and also if you guys ever have any book recommendations, please let me know down below. I always love to hear from you. Any book recommendations, comments, whatever. Also down below, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so that you can be notified of my future uploads. Again, thank you so much, you guys. I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you. You are amazing. And what else? I just thought of something I was going to say, and I just went, woof. I guess it wasn't important. But anyway, so I'm actually super excited about today's look. I'm also super excited about the book that I'm talking about today. It's definitely become a favorite book. So I know I said I was going to try and step away from fantasy a little more, but I am talking about a fantasy book today. I think I have an idea for a book I want to do tomorrow that's not fantasy. But, anyway, so I don't remember what I was going to say right there. So let's jump into the book. And by the way, I own nothing. All rights belong to Casey L. Bond. Because I'm going to talk about a book today called When Wishes Bleed. And I know I say this about a lot of the books I read, but I really wasn't sure about this book. Like when I read the blurb on Kindle, I wasn't sure if I was going to like it because I don't know. I tend to like my fantasy maybe to be a little lighter, but this one just felt a little heavier, and it is a little heavier, but it's also a book that I have grown to really enjoy. Okay, and the look I'm doing is, it's not really how a character would do her makeup, but more like how I think she would look in a certain situation. So, When Wishes Bleed. It is about a land where there are 12 districts. And nope, just kidding, there are 13 districts. And in the first 12 districts, are just normal everyday people. But in the 13th district, that is where the witches live. And there are 4 houses of witches: earth, wind, fire, and water. Or earth, air, fire, and water. And then there's one witch who doesn't belong to any of the houses. And that is because she is the daughter of Fate. And Fate lives in her. And also, you guys, I'm not going to worry so much about spoilers in this book, or when I'm talking about this book, because I feel like I've been worrying a lot about spoilers. And basically, I just want to talk about the book. So, yeah. Anyway, so the daughter of Fate. Her name is Sable, and the other witches are pretty leery of her because she's different. Fate actually lives inside of her. And she has to do his bidding, basically. So, like, if he thinks someone should die because they've done something, then Sable is the one who gets to carry out those hangings. And she can also, she also tells people's futures. She reads bones and wax and tea leaves. And the other witches pretty much try to stay away from her just because she's different. She does have one friend. He might want to be a little more than friends. But she has one friend among the witches. But still, other than that, they pretty much stay away from her. And one day, and so when Fate wants her to do something, basically he turns her, he puts a lot of pressure on her, like he'll turn the tips of her fingers blue until she does it, and he'll make her cold, and just basically she's going to be really uncomfortable until she does his bidding. And right now she knows that there's someone that Fate wants to hang. She doesn't know who yet, but she knows there is someone is going to do something and Fate is going to want him to hang. So a girl comes to her to get her fate read, future read, to get a reading. There we go. And she tells this girl that her reading is a warning, because this girl is planning on going to see a boy from another district. Okay, and witches are really the only people who are allowed to come and go from sectors 13, except for on special holidays. And tonight happens to be a special holiday. It's an equinox celebration. Anyway, so she tells this girl that her fate is a warning, that her reading is a warning. This girl has been sneaking out to see a boy from another sector. She tells this girl she's going to die if she continues. Like, she needs to stop going to see this guy or she's going to die. The girl doesn't seem to like this very much. Which, I mean, she thinks she's in love. So, she's young. She thinks she's in love. Sometimes people do stupid things when they think they're in love. But she doesn't seem to like this prophecy very much. But Sable really can't stop her or anything. She's given her the warning. She's done her job. It's really up to the girl whether she's going to listen to it or not. So, and then a boy comes and she gets his reading from her too. And she tells him that he's basically at a crossroads. He's got a decision to make. And either he could go really bad or he could be great, you know. But he's got a big decision to make, basically. Well, so they're going on, and like I said, the other witches don't really like Sable. They pretty much stay away from her. Her mother was also the daughter of Fate, and she passed away she was killed some years ago. her grandmother is actually the leader of one of the houses. I think it's the Earth House. But her grandmother really has nothing to do with her. Her grandmother doesn't like her much either. But oh, and by the way, Sable she's just turned 17. So she's still young. But she tells she's been living like in the wood away from the other witches, and she tells them that she's going to claim the House of Fate. Now that she's turned 17. And a couple of them aren't super happy about this, but there's not a lot they can do, because, I mean, after all, she is the daughter of Fate. I don't know where that just went. So it is technically her house, you know? And she also tells them that Fate wants somebody to hang tonight. And they're like, well, can't it wait until after the celebration? Because I don't know if I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. So on the equinox celebration, people from the other sectors can come to the Sector 13 or District 13, Sector or District, something like that. And so there's going to be a lot of people from the other sectors coming to visit, and seeing a hanging is probably not something that a lot of people are going to want to see, which I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to see that either. But she's like, no, Fate is demanding it be done tonight. And they know that once Fate demands something be done, there's really nothing, it has to be done. They can't change it. So they're like, all right, well, let us know when you found him. And then a witch from one of the houses comes and tells the leader of the house that a girl has been found dead. Can you guess who the girl was? Yeah. It was the girl who went for her reading at the beginning. And she didn't listen to the warning, and, well, she paid the price. So, and Sable gets a glimpse of, she doesn't know exactly who this guy is, but she gets like an image of the guy. So she now knows who she has to look for. Oh, and the other leaders of the house finally they kind of reluctantly, but they decide to let her have the House of Fate. Like I said. So that night, lots of people are flooding in to see the celebration, and she knows that Fate wants this done soon. And so she's kind of going around, and if she has like physical contact with somebody, she can kind of get a glimpse of who they are. And, you know, lots of people are drinking and having fun, and she sees a particular group, a group of 3 boys. And so she goes over, and she's wondering if the one of these boys might be the person she's looking for. And so she shakes their hands, and first one, there's a redhead and 2 with dark brown hair. And the 2 with dark brown hair look similar enough that they're probably brothers. And so she shakes the redhead's hand first, and she gets kind of like an image of a shield, like he's a protector. And then the other one has dark hair with hazel eyes, I believe, or like amber colored eyes. And he looks kind of mischievous. And then the third one looks at her, and she's very attracted to this guy, and she's like, all right, Faye, if this is a guy, I'm not doing it. He's got very dark hair, almost black, and gold eyes. But she doesn't feel like any of them are the guys she's looking for. And finally, she finds another group of guys. And she knows that this time she's found the one. And he tries to run away, but he doesn't get far because, well, she's got fate on her side. She's going to catch him. So she catches him, and she hangs him. There's children and stuff around, and the other house leaders tell the parents that this is what's going to happen. You know, somebody has committed a crime, and they're going to be hung. So you might want to take your children behind the houses for a little bit so they don't have to see. So she does, so the hanging's done and everything. And then she goes and she has a table set out in front of her house to do readings. And she's not sure if anybody is going to really want to reading from her after witnessing what just happened. But it's a way she makes money as well. You know, she's got to support herself. So she's going to try. And somebody stumbles up to her table who's obviously drunk. And she's just kind of like, you're drunk, go away. But he pushes back his hood, and it's the handsome stranger from before. And so they kind of talk for a minute, and she offers to sober him up, and he agrees. And so he goes into her house with her, and she sobers him up, and then he notices that she has some bones, and he's like, what are those for? And she's like, I read them. And bones are actually her favorite way to read fates. But a lot of people are scared of the bones, so not a lot of people have her read the bones. Well, this guy decides to have her do it. And he's well dressed, and so she figures he's from a fairly wealthy family, so she charges him a bag of coin. And he easily agrees. So he snaps the wishbone, and something weird happens. It starts to bleed. And he's like, what does that mean? And she tells him that someone is going, okay, so this foundation is a little dark. Tried to lighten it up a little bit. Apparently it didn't work as well as I wanted it to. Oh well, we'll work with it. So, anyway. Yeah, it did not line up really at all like I wanted it to. Well, oh well. don't know why I bother to do this before I put on my foundation. Most of the time I just end up covering it up like I just did. Well, I don't know, sometimes I don't cover up as much as I just did. And I'm babbling. Sorry. Hold on. Sorry. So while I was gone, I hurried and redid the, creams that I pretty much destroyed. But yeah, anyway, so, this guy's, his bones starts to bleed. Oh, and by the way, this has never happened before. So he asks her what it means, and she tells him someone is going to try to kill him. And she doesn't know who this guy is right now. He's sweet, but she has no idea who he is. And so she tells him, and she touches him, and she gets a few different impressions of like different ways that he's gonna die. And then and so she tells him someone is going to try to kill him. And he's seen, and she's like, has anybody ever tried to kill you before? And he was like, no. But he seems a little shocked that she doesn't know who he is. And she doesn't have a TV or newscaster, as they're called. And so she figures he must be somebody famous. And then he leaves, and he hasn't paid her yet. She's like, wait, you haven't paid me. And he's like, sorry, I ran out of money, but maybe my friends have some. But she's like, you know, it's fine. I'll forgive your dad. And then he leaves, and the next day, a knock comes at the door. And she opens it, and it's a courier. And he tells her he's got a letter and a package for her from someone from the royal family. And that he'll be back to collect her later. And she's really confused at this point. Well, it turns out the guy who was there last night, his name is Prince Tauren, and he is the eldest prince. And so that was also why he was a little shocked that she didn't know who he was, because he's a prince. And Prince Tauren it's come time for him to choose a wife. And they've chosen one girl from each of the 12 sectors. Except for, each of the sectors except for 13. And they've never chosen a witch before. And by the way, witches have a different way of marriage. They do what's called hand fasting. And where they're married for just a year. But anyway, Prince Tauren is inviting her to the palace. He's extending her an invitation to join the girls and seem to be one of the girls that he's chosen to, one of the girls he's trying to pick from to become his bride. There we go. And she talks to the other leaders of the houses, and a couple of them aren't too happy about this, and a couple others think that, this might be a good thing. But finally they agree to let her go if she takes a couple escorts. So her friend and another girl from one of the other houses accompany her. And they go to the palace. Oh, and Tauren in his letter told her that he had a couple different reasons why he wanted her there. One, he wanted her to help him look out for who was going to kill him. And another reason that he did not disclose, but told her that he would be happy to tell her more in person. What am I looking for? So she agrees to go, and they go to the palace. And Prince Torin is like the first one to greet her. And he seems pretty happy to see her, and he's set up her room really nicely, and one of the servants tells her that he didn't do this to anybody else, so he hasn't even greeted any of the other girls, so he must like her a lot. But, oh, and it's being kept kept a secret why she's there. You know, for all intents and purposes, she's there to try and win his hand. Or that's how it's supposed to look. Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to have an idea. This look isn't going exactly how I planned, but I think it's okay. I don't hate the way it's turning out. I do feel a little bit like it looks a little more like war paint as opposed to veins. But that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to, because like I said, when fate wants her to do something, he will turn, actually I don't know if I said this, but he will make her super uncomfortable, and he will turn like the tips of her fingers blue and her lips blue. And sometimes if he's really, really pushing her, it gets worse. So that's what I'm going for with this look. Don't know if I'm nailing it, but I don't hate it. So anyway, and when Prince Torin greets her again, and he talks with her later, and she meets with the king and queen, and them and her and her two escorts, and Torin and the king and queen are the only ones who know the real reason why she's there. And they need to keep it that way for now, especially because she's investigating the other girls. And so she starts, so once she's at the palace, she starts trying to find out who's trying to kill him, and she checks his food, she checks, she makes sure he's never alone in order to protect him. Hold on for just a second. I'm going to go finish my eyes and my lips, and I'll be right back. So I'm not going to lie. this is not exactly what I had envisioned when I thought about doing this look, but I don't hate it. Actually, I kind of like it. It's fun. My eyes definitely are not symmetrical. I tried to put on the lashes again. I don't know if I did a much better job than yesterday, but they do feel a little bit better than they did yesterday. Gotta keep practicing with that. I feel like you can't see them as well with the blue though. But let's turn the lights. I also envisioned going a little bit paler, like making my face a little more pale. But I don't hate how it turned out. I really don't. Actually, I like it. It's a look. I wouldn't do it every day. But it is a look. And I feel like it goes fairly well with the book. Anyway, so she moves into the castle with the other girls, and she proceeds to try and find out who is trying to kill Prince Torin. And there's adventure, there's romance, there's fantasy, there's plots and plots and plots, there's danger, there's so much in this book. There's also a sequel, but I haven't read it yet. So am I the only one, or do you ever like read a good book and then you find out it has a sequel, but you're a little scared to read it because you've just finished this awesome book. It's been great. And you're not sure how you feel about reading a sequel because you feel like it ended on a pretty good note and you don't want the sequel to ruin it or just change how you feel. Am I the only one? If I am, that's okay. I'm okay with that. But I highly recommend this book. It's such a good book. I feel like it's a little more heavy, but it's a really good book. You love Sable, you love Torin, you love Mara and Brecca, and Mara and Brecca are the two other witches who went with her to the palace from the District 13. And I feel like there's a little bit about the other girls, but that's not the main focus. Like the main focus is not on the other girls, and I kind of love it because it leaves more of the main focus towards Sable and Torin. And it's just like I said, there's danger, there's just a lot in this book, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I think it's a really good book. I wasn't sure about it at first, but I really have grown to love it. So I think that's it. I think I'm done for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about this book and seeing this look. It's a different look from what I normally do, but I enjoyed doing it. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Please remember to treat everyone with kindness and respect. Everyone has a story, and we don't know what it is. So a little kindness and respect go a long way in this world. And again, have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!